And it was said that Phil Collins knew the set. And so we went on in the end, and neither drummer knew any of the numbers at all. And I've seen the footage of it, and there's this point where I can see on my face, it's like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. It's like a death knell. You can hear it ringing, you know.
You did go back to the past for Live Aid in 1985, which wasn't the greatest moment in Zeppelin history. Do you think the fact that that was an underwhelming appearance maybe also diminished the possibility of a Zeppelin reunion, or was that never really going to happen?
Yeah. Live Aid was appalling.
Yeah.
It was absolutely appalling because everyone was doing different things at that point of time. I mean, I was sort of working with Paul, and the Live Aid opportunity came up.
We went to play Live Aid in the spirit of it, but really it was very plain to us that really we should have rehearsed.
You were unhappy with the performance?
It was unfortunate. I mean, John Paul Jones, I think, had been doing solo well. I was in a band called The Firm with Paul Rodgers. Robert was out in one of his, you know, solo aspects, and we didn't have to sort of play that much. So theoretically, as everyone was up to speed individually, then we ought to be able to come together and I mean, it was really a wing and a prayer, this, and pull it off. But the fact was that the drummers they didn't know the material, so we were in real trouble. And we had like half an hour to rehearse or whatever, or an hour, and we're still trying to get the drummer to do the opening for rock and roll, because we had two drummers. We had 2 hours rehearsal, and 2 drummers, and neither of them knew the songs. It was really unbelievable. And so we were going out on a wing and a prayer, and it was an absolute disaster. It was horrible. And we came together, rehearsed with a drummer that we'd never met before, and then we were joined by Phil Collins, who we'd never played with before. We'd actually done Live Aid, and it was horrific, and it was because we only had half an hour to rehearse, and it wasn't enough because I think Queen had been rehearsing for months in England, and they did it the right way. We came in more or less within hours of it, and the time we were supposed to go on stage just stretched and stretched and stretched. We were all sort of pretty exhausted by the time we went on.
But the show ran 6 or 7 hours later than it was supposed to, so right at the time we got on there, we were a bit sort of tired, to say the least, almost to the point of peaking.
But we were kept waiting for hours, and that was like 4 hours waiting to go on. By that time, you know, when it peaked.
No, I was more than just a little nervous, because you know, normally if you're going to do like a show or whatever, you know exactly when what time you're going to go on, and you pace yourself to it. And in fact, the time that we were initially going to go on was, I don't know, actually I can't remember what time it was now. But I know that I was sitting around for about an hour and a half and just getting too wound up actually over it. It was fun to do.
And it was said that Phil Collins knew the set, and so we went on in the end to this huge, massive audience, and neither drummer knew any of the numbers at all. And I've seen the footage of it, and there's this point where I can see on my face, it's like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. It's like a death knell. You can hear it ringing, you know.
The only way that we would feel really comfortable to do that would be that the 3 core musicians, Jason, who is now nearly 40, you know, he's 40, and John Paul Jones and myself had a good number of weeks of rehearsal, so that we were playing very well with each other and understanding each other. That was very, very crucial.
Is there any chance of you boys ever doing the unmentionable?
Well, there's no plans to do it at the moment. I mean, the two things that we did Live Aid was a really good reason to be doing, you know, working together with those numbers, and of course the thing at Madison Square Garden, that came up right out of the blue because
the Atlantic Records.
Yeah,
40th
that's
anniversary.
right. That's right.
And my question is, at the Atlantic anniversary, Robert Plant made the statement, "You'll be hearing more from us." By any chance, does this mean that after y'all both finish y'all solo tours, that y'all would head into the studio with John Paul Jones, Jason Bonham to revive a new Zeppelin?
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. There's been no plans for that at all, and no discussions with Robert either on that. As far as Robert and I working together again, I would think that there's a very strong likelihood of that, because we've never really stopped working together one way or the other since the end of Zeppelin, so to speak. So, you know, we'll see.
You mentioned earlier on in the show that the working relationship with Robert Plant was, you know, fairly good. I was just wondering, what are the chances of you getting back with Robert and John Baldwin, alias John Paul Jones, in the future to do some more tracks?
Well, as I say, there isn't anything planned at this point. Well, basically because Robert's doing his tour and he's way into that, and I think he's got quite a bit more touring to do beyond what he's doing at the moment over here in the States. I believe so, anyway.
What was that like working with Robert in the studio?
Oh, really good, really good. Yeah, we've been working together anyway on a few things like the Honey Drippers in the past, and I've done a couple of tracks on his album, and
I know too.
And he came down and did one on mine, you know.
Is it very different these days when you and Robert actually stand there in the recording studio together and actually working? Is it reminiscent of Zeppelin days, or is it a completely different thing now?
Well, obviously we've got a friendship which goes way, way back, you know, and we've got an affinity together which does. Obviously in the past, the numbers that we did, we'd work from the beginning, you know, the initial creation of the ideas, you know. So it's not quite like that now.
We mean, you don't fight as much, it's more polite.
No, we never used to fight that much.
You can tell
I just
me,
used
Jimmy!
to be as assertive as necessary. No, it's all right.
What a diplomat, what a nice man and a diplomat.
You mean, do we fight now? We didn't just fight then.
Give me all the dirt while we play a video.
I'll tell you later.
Right. To actually go back to Robert again, there's a real sparkle when the two of you are on stage together. It must be, I mean, that's the chemistry again, I suppose, but it must be a real buzz when you play together. You see it, both of you light up when you play together.
Well, I mean, this is it. I mean, we've created so much, so many fine compositions. We've done so many fine live performances together. It's natural that you know, there's a hell of a lot there between us. You know, Bloodstick and myself.
Yeah, because he tours. He does. I saw your solo tour and his solo tour, and you both do some Zeppelin catalogue, but it shines when you're both together.
Oh, absolutely, of course, yeah. I mean, as far as my tour went, of course I played it because I wrote it after all, and I love playing it. That's and plus, you know, I know how to play it as well. That's an important factor.
But what about? I mean, you've seen what the Rolling Stones did last year with their tour. There's still fans out there for Led Zeppelin.
Mm.
Are you tempted to maybe get the band together?
I don't know. We've all been. We've collaborated on each other's music since over that 10-year period. I played on a soundtrack of John Paul Jones's "Scream for Help." I played on the Honey Drippers of Roberts, and Heaven Knows I played the solo on that. Tall Cool one, I was sort of featured in that. Not in ways that I'd like to have been featured, I might add to that. But nevertheless, you know, and he sang on my album as well. The only thing we haven't done is we haven't written any material together since the, you know, over that 10-year period. So I don't know, it's quite possible we might work together in some shape or form. You know, there are endless possibilities and ways that we could do that. But at the moment, nothing's been discussed or planned because, you know, we've all been involved in solo projects, for instance.
It's the final ever Zeppelin show, the O2, the Celebration Day gig. Was this a good way to bring the story of Zeppelin as a working band to an end?
Well, it was certainly an honourable way of revisiting it. And I don't know who actually proposed it, but it certainly came soon after there was a business meeting with the managements and the cast, if you like, the cast of Led Zeppelin, and then it was put forward that there was going to be this, that they were hoping to put these tribute concerts, plural, together for Armit, of which we were going to do one night, and there was going to be another night. In actual fact, it just came down to the one night. And wouldn't it be fun if we came together? And everyone said, sure. Yeah, there was only the one concert. Originally, there was going to be two concerts. There was going to be one of us, and then one of Eric Clapton was going to do the following night, but then he didn't do it. So I never really knew why we didn't do two nights, but anyway, we did the one night. So. And the most important thing for us was to go into a room with the instruments, play the instruments, and just see how we responded with each other, whether there was a connection to it. And of course there was going to be, but the other part of that is that nobody wanted it to fail. Nobody. Not any one of us wanted to go in there and for the others to go away and say, well, it would have been all right except for X. So we went in there with such a willingness and such an affection for the music and for each other that's how it started. And rumours leaked immediately that we were going to be doing the O2, but in actual fact, that's when we were going to make up our minds whether we were going to do it before.
The 63-year-old music vet will join Robert Plant, John Paul Jones and Jason Bonham on stage at the O2 Arena. It's their first concert in 17 years, and after a decade of alleged feuding, Mr Page says they've put it all behind them and fans can finally expect the show they've been waiting for.
It's scary, good scary.
There was a reputation, and there was a reason why there was a reputation of why we were so good, and this sort of connection on stage. And it was important to not take this casually, take it really, really seriously, and still have the area whereby, or the element whereby you could change things on stage like we would have done in the past. And so there was just there were generations of people who knew Led Zeppelin's music, and it was an opportunity to be able to sort of play as a unit together with Jason.
Some bands probably could have got away with it with maybe just 2 weeks of rehearsal. For the way, certainly if they'd have had what we had playing together. I mean, it was immediate. And we were able to we were already starting to sort of change the things subtly. For example, I could, and everybody's going with it, and very much like the ethic of Led Zeppelin was in the past. We all found it so exciting to be playing together that each rehearsal was each future rehearsal was something to look forward to.
Did it surprise you that all those tens of millions of people applied for tickets for that, or do you think, well, of course they would, it's Led Zeppelin?
No, it became quite a phenomenon, didn't it? Well, I think we were pretty confident that it would probably sell out on the first day, but the demand that you're referring to was totally overwhelming. Yeah, I don't think anybody expected that demand even in their wildest dreams. We all expected it to sell out on the first day. There was no reason why it wouldn't sell out on the first day, because let's face it, the fact of having a Led Zeppelin reunion is only going to generate nothing but interest and demand. But the actual demand to the point where websites were crashing, and I mean, I've heard hundreds of millions of hits actually for people trying to access tickets. But it was pretty overwhelming, I've got to say. Yeah. Really overwhelming for all of us. Yeah. You know, that we'd still mean that much to so many, you know. because many people had heard about what Led Zeppelin was, and well, we don't really know, whether we'd like them or what. And we went out there and did exactly what we should have done, which was to play, really standing on the precipice, ready to fall at any moment, and still improvising and not playing anything safe whatsoever. And it was also wonderful to do that with John Bonham's son, and to do as much rehearsal so that he felt part of a band as opposed to a novelty in it. It was cool. I mean, I thought we did so well with that. It was good. So Celebration Day showed us more or less looking like we look now, but just to show that, yeah, sure we could do it if we had to.
And it was